Welcome to the Expert Series in the Exponential Heroes Hub. This is a weekly series starting from today to share with you some experts who are going to teach us all that they know so we can have that massive impact in the world that we as purpose-driven entrepreneurs want to have. And oh boy, do I have an amazing guest for you today. It is my absolutely amazing friend, Kezia Luckett, who is a positive psychologist and an international best-selling author. I'm very proud to be one of the authors in one of her books. And she has created not one, but two new modalities. Kezia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. And we managed it. Yes. What you haven't seen behind the scenes is us like playing with headphones and running around the house looking for headphones. So yes, we're here.
And praying that technology is on our side today because it's been glitchy all day long.
It is like that at the moment. I think it was Mercury retrograde, but I think has it not finished by now?
Shouldn't it be? Well, who knows? So, Kezia, for those that are either watching this live or on the replay, what does a positive psychologist do?
Oh, well, thing is, you and I have a lot in common, Loubna. So as a positive psychologist, our main role is to focus on what's right with you. And it's about focusing on people, organizations and communities and how they flourish and thrive. Because so long, psychology has just been focused on the so-called negative aspects. So it's bringing a totally different dimension to psychology.
Yeah. What are some of the highlights that you have found in your work as a positive psychologist?
Do you know what? It's funny because I was having this conversation earlier today with my program ladies, and it's really being able to tap into the true essence of somebody and see the positive of them. Because let's be honest, we have both so-called positive and negative residing within us. And so often, and our brain is set up for it, we're looking for the negative all the time because it's a survival mechanism. So being able to shine a light and look, maybe sometimes with rose-tinted glasses, who knows, it just makes life different. It makes it far more enjoyable. It makes your interactions with every person count rather than feeling like negative all the time.
Yeah. So this is a community, Exponential Heroes Hub, a community of purpose-driven entrepreneurs who want to be connected with each other because they believe in the power of connection and collaboration, but also they want to have a massive, big impact. So they want to support each other and guide each other on that journey. How does positive psychology help with that specific audience?
Well, the thing is, when we come from a place of our cup overflowing and focusing on the positive aspect, a lot of the things that would naturally tend to worry us, especially as entrepreneurs, this kind of comparison, perfectionism, competitiveness, kind of falls by the wayside. Because when we focus on what's good with people and we see both positive and negative as can be looked at in both ways. It can be looked as a negative or it can be looked as a positive. We actually can find that we change the lens of our world. And in the changing of the lens of our world, we attract in those people that truly make our hearts sing. Our cup's overflowing, so we're not worrying about, lack. We're worrying, we're focused on collaboration and, a great outcome for absolutely everybody. And also, as an entrepreneur, you and I both know, we go through periods of adversity. And actually having that beautiful network around us boosts our resilience in those times of adversity. And so, creating what you've created is the best place to be if you're starting out and you've got this big vision and big dream in mind.
I love that. So some of the challenges that I know the members of the Exponential Heroes Hub have are very mundane, very logical, in the sense of I don't have enough clients, I don't know what my big purpose is, or how am I going to build my business when I don't have the money right now to invest in my business? What are some of the tips and tricks you can give to tackle those challenges?
Do you know what? I mean, I've been on my entrepreneurial journey since 2010. So, I've been there, I've done it. I've got the t-shirt on absolutely everything. So I know what it feels to have gone through those different things. I think the thing is, we can harness lots of information, and we want to, because we're searching for answers. We're looking for the keys to unlock the codes of those particular problems. And oftentimes we look outside there. We're looking for the answers outside of ourselves. But actually what it boils down to is us and who we are. Especially if you're running a business, your business is going to be a representation of you. If you're in worry, if you're in lack, if you're, worried whether your client's coming in, you're worried that you've got no money, you're worried about this, you're worried about that, then whether you like it or not, the energy of that is going to seep out into absolutely everything. So if you do nothing at all, but just focus on shifting yourself into a really good energy before you step in to do business in any way, shape or form, you've already alleviated half the problems that you're going to come across.
Half of the problems?
Well, at least half. I mean, I would have said most of the problems, but when you're first playing around with your energy, you're not entirely sure. So let's say just half of the problems at least, but you are a representation of your business. If you're feeling rubbish, then that will seep into absolutely everything. The negative dialogue, the way that you interact with people, the opportunities that you see or don't see, it will affect absolutely everything.
But can imagine someone watching and listening and thinking, yeah, I hear what you say, but Kezia, how do I flip the switch?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll be totally honest with you, Loubna. I mean, you know my story. The switch has been flipped mainly because I've moved into a deep, dark black hole. Where you can't see the wood for the trees, where you've plunged into darkness, whether you wonder whether you're ever going to see the light, whether, on one occasion, my husband came home to find the kids saying, "Mummy can't breathe," and rushed me into hospital to find I had pneumonia, but you do not have to go into the depths of that kind of stuff in order to be able to move out. You can start really simply, how often, and I'm going to ask this to everybody, those that are watching now, those that will come back to it, how often are you doing something different? Because most people are on autopilot, even the thoughts that we think, 80%, I think 80% of them are negative, and 95% of them are repetitive thoughts that we had yesterday and the day before and the day before that. So we become these creatures of habit, but we want things to change. Well, it's not going to work. So let's start with what would seem the simplest thing, but is often the hardest. Let's start with who we are, how we want to act, how do we want to step forward in the world, because once we tap back into ourselves, the other stuff will start to even out.
Yeah, and I so agree with you. I mean, the very first step in my model or modality, or however you want to call it, is awareness, because I just see too many professionals, human beings, let's be honest, it's every human being, whether you're a corporate professional or an entrepreneur, even a housewife or a house dad, because we have those too in the world. It is about working from the inside out. But if you don't know who you are, and let's be really honest, who we are now is the result of the conditioning in our environment. So you have to start by peeling off the layers of other people's opinion about you and how you show up in the world before we can discover that true gem inside that is called you or me or Frank or Jake or Dickie or Jeanette. It really doesn't matter. So, and that's the work that you need to be willing to do. And it is, I'm not going to say it is simple work, but it's one of the hardest things that you will ever have to do. I mean, one of the processes that you took me through to be able to write a chapter about several pivotal moments in my life that have brought me to where I am today. I mean, I still remember when I had to come up with the very first draft, I couldn't get past 1,000 words and we had to write 5,000. So I wasn't nowhere near 50% of solving that challenge in any way, shape or form. And I just started crying. And I didn't understand why I started crying initially. But after a little while, I just let the tears flow because I had learned enough to just let the emotions be what they are. I reflected back and thought, this is a spot in my history that is not healed or not quite healed because it's still triggering these emotions in me. So I have to heal them before I can really share this story to be inspirational for someone else. So really very, very important.
And it's a lifelong learning. You know, I remember the first time I went and did personal development, my husband went, "Oh, wonderful, you've done that now." And I was just like, no, this is going to be something that I do for the rest of my life. Because we need to unravel the programming that we've got, and 95% of your programming is embedded into you by the time you're 35. So you've got all of that to clear. And then it's about discovering who you truly are, the power that resides within you. And then at each step, you're having to up level, which means the next time you up level, there's going to be some more stuff to shift in order for you to go up. And then you're going to go to the next level and there'll be more stuff for you to shift in order to go up. You know, people think entrepreneur is like this, but it's more like a winding river, you know. And if you just accept that sometimes you're going forward, sometimes it feels like you're going sideways, and sometimes you have to go back in order to go forward. And that's what you did when you wrote for the book, is that stepping back to unravel the programming to step forward into the next phase of your life.
Yeah, I love that. So with all of the tools and strategies that the positive psychology teaches us, you still created 2 new modalities. What's the story?
Well, you know, it wasn't enough. No, it was funny because obviously I did my master's in positive psychology, and my lecturers knew automatically that I was all about the woman. I was all about, you know, a business called Women of Contribution, and they were brilliant at being able to feed me information and feed me papers that they knew would light my heart, that would get my soul on fire. And it was really funny because I'd had the idea of the Pay It Forward series. And I knew I wanted people to write back to their younger selves at pivotal moments and give words of wisdom, advice, and inspiration. However, through my journey in positive psychology and the different facets that started coming in, I was just like, oh my gosh. And it was like having this massive, big board in front of me, and it was like, that goes with that can come down here if I shift that and put that in there. And I remember, because I did the Pay It Forward for my dissertation, I took 5 complete strangers through the process, and I remember explaining it to my tutor, and she was just like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant, but it's too much. You're going to have to simple it. So I ended up reducing it down for the dissertation and then widening it up for the Pay It Forward. But it's really about how can we shift the stories that we tell ourselves so that those pivotal moments become an empowerment tool rather than a disempowering tool. So that was the first bit, which was the mind conditioning therapy. But then the other bit was, okay, but who are we to do that? And we've learned who we are from our parents and our caregivers. You know, unless you've actively chosen to treat yourself differently, you've learned who you are and how you interact and how you treat yourself from your caregivers. And it was just like, no. And in my previous business, I'd run a female-based concierge business, and I was seeing these highly successful women burning out and dropping out left, right, and center. And from that, I kind of brought that information through because I too had burnt out. And it's like, there has to be a different way to do business. We're taught if you want something and it's worth having, you've got to work hard for it. You've got to work long. And in my first business, 80, 90 hours a week and burning myself out. Well, that's part and parcel of what you do in order to have a business, until I discovered it wasn't. And that's where the energy code came from. It's like, how can we do life and business in a different way that naturally supports the ebb and flow of who we are and how we operate in this world in a way that's more us?
I love it. Can you dive deeper in the energy code? Because I find it fascinating.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I really didn't obviously think it through when I first started it, because I came up with this energy bucket. We're either topping up our energy or we're bringing it down. And it was my daughter that recently said to me, a stainless steel bucket? Come on, you could have done better. It could have at least been, gold with diamonds or something like that. But what I want you to do is think of a stainless steel bucket. And that's our energy. And throughout the day, you're either topping that up or you're draining it down. So, if you're around negative people, if the negative thoughts are kicking in, if you've had a fight with your partner, those things are going to be draining us down. You can also have things that are topping you up. So resting, replenishing, doing those things that make your heart sing, those all top your energy bucket up. So that's the basis. You have an energy bucket. You're either topping it up or you're depleting it. But you have 4 different energy spaces that you go through. And when you first start working with those, you're working on heritage patterns. What your parents have shown you, they might have worked hard. They might have, stumbled into bed exhausted at the end of the night, and that's it. Or you might have decided to go the opposite and say, do you know what? I'm going to treat myself with love and respect. So the 4 different energy spaces, 2 are masculine, 2 are feminine, 2 are doing, 2 are being. And when we have the natural balance of the 2, then we can start to bring the balance and harmony back into our life.
Interesting. So how do I use something called the energy code in my day-to-day life?
No. Oh, I love it. Well, it depends what energy space you're in. So there is a free quiz that you can take. It won't take you more than a minute. It's called the Energy Code for Women. Sorry, guys. Energy Code for Women. All you have to do is just change the word woman and put in man and go with it. You'll still get tapped into the same results. But you take a quiz, you understand what energy space you're in. And like I say, there's 4 different. Most people, unless they've actively chosen to look after themselves, normally find themselves when they first start working with their energy space in the energy space of nurture. And nurture sounds like a delicious space. It sounds like massages and facials and all that good stuff. But
sauna.
I know, all that kind of like nurturing your stuff, but it's not. I'm afraid it's where we are when we hit survival. And so many of us, especially entrepreneurs, are clinging onto the wall with their nose barely above water while their feet are going 19 to the dozen, because they think, well, this isn't working. I'm just going to work longer and harder. So in the energy space of nurture, there's only one thing that you have to learn, and that is to stop. Just stop. And stopping will look different for different people. It might be a walk in nature. It might be sleeping during the day. It might be reading a book. It might be meditating. But stop. Step away from this, because the best ideas 9 times out of 10 don't come from sitting in here. Okay. So if you're in nurture, stop and take a step back. So that's the first thing. In the different energy spaces, you're going to do different things. So, but nurture is all about the stop.
Yeah, and I recognize that. I mean, I have been through the quiz, and I've done a little bit more work on the energy codes and monitored my energy during the day and weeks and months, so that I can learn my own. What's the ebbs and lows, and when I need to stop instead of trying to push, well, I need to nurture. So that was very insightful, because I could recognize when I was forcing myself to do something while all I needed was that nurture space to stop. And it could be a 5-minute break. It could be a 10-minute break. It's not about spending hours asleep and trying to replenish. You might need that sometimes. I am mindful of that also, but it could be a very short break just to replenish and then move forward again.
Yeah, but we feel a lot of us feel guilty for stopping, because that's not what you do. It's daytime, so therefore you just keep going. And actually, if you look at, I look at my 15-year-old daughter, okay, we're in lockdown now, but normally she goes to school. She leaves home at 7:30. She gets home at 4:30. and then she has 3 or 4 hours of homework every day. You know, where is the time for her to be her and enjoy living and to do those things that make her heart sing? So, you know, so often we keep pushing because we believe that we're lazy, or we feel guilty, or we feel shameful that we've stopped, that we're not able to be the multitasking genius that we believe everybody else is. But everybody else secretly is in the same place. Everybody else is still struggling in exactly the same way.
And let's go to the opposite of this. So in opposite of nurture, what's the energy you can be in if you're absolutely flourishing and thriving?
So the energy space is shine, and the shine energy space is when you're totally in alignment with who you're meant to be doing, you know, who you're meant to be. You life seems to go really easy for you. Your cup is overflowing, so you feel abundance, you want to give, you're happy to receive, you know, life just feels good. And I was describing this today earlier in my group, and I was saying, you know, shine can look like different things for different people. For me, I know when I'm in shine space on stage and there's people that like you, there's people there and I'm in my element and the words are just flowing through me and I'm just a vessel and I just feel freaking amazing. You come off, it takes you 2 or 3 hours just to come off the high. You know, that kind of shine.
The high, as in I'm high, just leave me alone.
Yeah, just high on life. But you've also got the shine of, you know, I often step into the shine energy space, taking my dog for a walk first thing in the morning and seeing the beauty of the countryside around me and, you know, the sun shining, and I'm just in the present moment and I'm not overthinking things. I'm just being. I'm just in the present, here and now, and I'm just being who I'm meant to be. And that's the opposite end of the spectrum. You know, that's when we've tapped into the true essence of who we are and we have the beautiful blend of being and doing.
Oh, amazing. So, Kezia, as we go towards the end of our time together, because I'm very mindful of time and I don't want people to spend hours and hours listening, because life is what happens when you're not doing this.
Yeah.
My experience weeks, you'd be spending a lot of time listening to other people, but you also need to process and take care of yourself. So I don't want to take too much of our time and those that are listening live or on the replay. What are some of the tips? Let's say 3 tips for people that are watching and thinking, okay, I want to do something, but okay, what's my action plan?
I think the thing is what is making your heart sing? Because quite often we're doing the shoulds, the musts, the need tos. So what is it that you want to do that's going to make your heart sing today? Because you need to interject that into your life. Otherwise, it's going to become freaking boring, you know, really boring. What is it that my heart desires right now? The second thing is give yourself permission to do that thing. So if that thing is, I really want to go and have a bubble bath. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. I want a bubble bath. Go and have a freaking bubble bath. You know, things can wait. And the other thing is understand that when you're feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, burnt out, your energy is a bit quirky, this is not the time that you want to be getting in front of your clients. Because even when you put the mask on of everything's fine, I'm all good, the energy that's kind of emanating out, even with that happy mask on, is going to be quirky energy. And you could have offered them the best offer in the world, but they're going to look at you and they're going to go, no, thank you.
Well, beautiful tips. So, Kezia, for those that are thinking, I want me more Kezia Luckett, where can they tap into you?
Well, the easiest way is you can find me on Facebook under Kezia Luckett, or Instagram. I've got kezialuckett.com, which is the website. But I am hosting a 5-day masterclass called The Quest that you're more than welcome to come in. This is the journey back home to self, how to tap into your energy to shift and change your life. So they can come and join that as well.
Oh, I love that. A quest. So you can go on a journey to yourself. Well, I am going to be there and go through that because, like we mentioned earlier in our conversation, it's a lifelong process. You have to discover and rediscover and relearn about who you are so that you can show up in the world, even making a bigger impact than you already are. Kezia, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending some time with us and sharing your wisdom. It's always a pleasure.
It's a pleasure with you too.
And I do hope that we will be seeing you again in the group. You are part of the group. So if any of you that are watching this, whether it's live or on the replay, you have any more questions, please put them in the comments, tag myself or Kezia, and we'll come back and answer them for you. So don't be shy. Ask for help, ask for support. That's what we're here for. Kezia, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And have an amazing day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.